This is William K. Murtaugh, Mert Witness 1, and today I will be discussing the everyday pedophile. Now, lately there seems to be these conspiracy groups on the internet, primarily on YouTube, but on other social media services, that have concentrated on what they feel is the big pedophile problem. And that is global networks that traffic children, use fake adoption scams, or kidnap the children right out of their homes, sell them into various child trafficking groups, maybe even into the satanic rituals. And the problem with this is twofold. First of all, 99% of it is a false narrative. These vast conspiracies simply don't exist, not in the degree or the volume that these conspiracy theorists bring forth. And second of all, it diverts attention away from the true pedophiles, the everyday pedophiles. Now, who are these everyday pedophiles? Well, there's someone you work with, someone you see every day. Could be a family member, brother, sister, aunt, uncle, cousins. Could be a friend of the family, friend of a friend of the family. Could be a teacher at school, policeman, fireman, doctor, nurse, you name it. Because there is no one kind of person. A pedophile is nothing more than someone who, for whatever reason, is attracted to children in a bad way. They like child pornography, or they like to act out physically with a child in any number of ways. I am quite certain that if you think long and hard, you will know of someone who is a pedophile. Doesn't matter how close that person is to your personal network, or someone that you worked with or saw in a store as a clerk or what have you. You can say to yourself, I know that person. So, how do we begin to deal with this issue? My way is to simply bring about coverage in cases of the everyday profile. Not necessarily the one that garners national attention or even statewide attention, but the local pedophile. For example, Sheriff of Polk County, Florida, occasionally conducts raids, sets up traps for child predators. It's kind of like the old To Catch a Predator show, where Chris Hansen would have this group of people who would get the potential pedophile to agree to meet someone they thought was an underage child, teenager. Most of the time it's someone in the 12 to 14 year range, but they're trying to get the person to think that they're gonna meet an underage individual for sex. And they catch the everyday pedophiles. They catch a lot of them from all walks of life. But nobody talks about what Chris Hansen does anymore. It's become a fad that's no longer there. As far as I know, Chris Hansen doesn't do these things anymore. Polk County, because our law enforcement does it, and other counties done it. We've done it in Orange County here in Orlando. Seminole County over in Sanford has done it. I mean, law enforcement does these activities from time to time, and they catch a lot of pedophiles. It's unimaginable the number of people that they get, and it's the kind of people they get. Employees at amusement parks, people that work at the airports, bus drivers, truck drivers, taxi drivers, Uber drivers. You know, people that are in everyday contact with the public, both adult and child. It's not some old man in a ice cream truck. It is not always the old man with the white van. It is not always the person with the ice cream truck. It is not always the person looking for the lost puppy. It is not always somebody with the free candy. While these have been incidences that have happened, that is not always the case. More frequently, the child is taken. Somebody drives up in a vehicle. For whatever reason, they get control of the child. And the child is eventually found, sadly, deceased by the predator, by the everyday pedophile. More commonly known is, like I've stated, it's someone that's known. A lot of cases, the crime goes unpunished. Families embarrassed, don't want to soil the reputation of the family because there's a pedophile in their midst. The friend doesn't want to be revealed because then that would mean that the person who brought the friend into the contact with the victim lacked the proper judgment not to recognize that this person was a pedophile. There's any number of reasons that the everyday pedophile goes unpunished. I'm going to go back to the Polk County Sheriff's Department for a moment. Now, when these pedophiles get caught in these stings, it's usually before the pedophile has a chance to act out on what his intentions were. And because of that, the crime for which the pedophile is convicted of is not as severe as it would have been if the pedophile had actually committed a sex crime. If the pedophile had actually gone ahead and abused the child, had sex with the child, set the child up and did pornography with the child, film pornography, someone doing the child sexually, or just merely taking pictures of the child in a pornographic manner. The punishment is actually fairly light. It's a fine, generally. And yes, you do get put on the sexual predator list. And unfortunately, these people, because they seem to have an addiction to children, reoffend. And they wind up back in jail again and again and again because they keep browsing the social media, attempting to meet up with their victims, and it's a 50-50 chance that it's going to be a law enforcement sting. But they just cannot resist the risk. And thus they keep getting caught. I choose instead to discuss those sexual predators that wind up on the registries, those that get caught that have done these acts and are awaiting trial. Where possible, if one of these cases comes up in the Florida court system here in Orlando, I will cover it live. It's rather difficult to do because there are children involved. Recording devices may not be allowed in court. May not have access to the remote recording facilities at the courthouse. But where possible, I do intend to cover these cases. They're not going to be the high profile ones. You're not going to see these cases on Nancy Grace. I am not going to do the high profile cases, the ones that get the national attention. There are others that do that. My focus is going to be on those that don't normally get covered. The local cases, the minor cases, the one case that is there on a 6-minute news segment and then you never hear about it again. Because these people may not get the punishment to the degree that would curtail their activities. They may get 6 months, a year in jail and get put on the sexual predator list. And they're out there, ready to strike again. It's those people I want to bring attention to. It's those people that I want to try and get people to start being aware of. To start getting people to check their sexual predator registries. To identify these minor criminals that go under the radar, that get forgotten. Those are the people you want to watch. Those are the people you want to concentrate on. Those are the people that you want to have a little book with pictures in it. So that if you see someone you think is a predator, you can go through your little book and say, aha, I'm going to keep an eye on that man or woman. You know, I'm going to find out why that person's hanging around a school when he's not supposed to. Because that's how you fight this. Is you look at the restrictions that the registered sex offender has on his sheet. Because most are not allowed to be near a school or anywhere where children gather. They're not to be at football games or any sport games. They're not to go to restaurants that cater to children, like Chuck E. Cheese. Some are not even allowed in amusement parks. Amusement park management won't allow them. And their restrictions under the registry won't allow. There's certain places of employment these persons are not allowed to be. They're not allowed to be working for a school, for instance. You can't even be a janitor for a school if you're a registered sex offender. That's the case here in Florida. Anywhere that you're going to be around children, you can't work there. And employers, if they had any common sense, wouldn't hire you to begin with. But these are the kind of people to concentrate on. The everyday pedophile. And those are the people that I will be concentrating on. So until my next segment, have a good one. This is William K. Murtaugh, a.k.a. Witness One.